It's Thursday, the 4th of May, that we will be previewing. It's the Turffontein Inside Track, and I trust all racing fans are well and obviously looking forward to this race meeting. There are 8 races carded, a lot of first-timers at the beginning of the race meeting, and it does look to be a race where in the respective races you could go short in the exotics. Alistair Cohen, as always, joining us. Maiden Juvenile placed over 1,450 meters. Alistair, trust you well.
Yeah, hello, Dee. It's been a good couple of days in Cape Town. Back up to the half-outs on Thursday, although I'm not working. I actually quite like this card. It's that time of year, even though the first nurseries have been run both in Cape Town and in Johannesburg. It's that time of year where potentially some people who will be looking at the late features of during Champions Season will be stepping out some nice horses. So I like the look of these juvenile races, certainly races 1 and 3, although they're not particularly easy. And then we've got a couple of very weak maidens to go along as well. So I think we mix the promising with the bad and the expected at Turffontein on Thursday.
Well, let's begin race number 1 as always. I'll give you the betting. The horses that are in single figures over 1,450 meters. Number 1 at 7-1, 2 at 11-2, 4 is at 9-2, 5 is at 7-1. This horse, Give Me Another Chance, is priced up at 12-10, and then Shampimpi is at 7-1, and that's where I'd like to begin with Shampimpi. Having watched Red Hot Rose run a decent second over the weekend, some would say an unlucky second, taking nothing away from the winner. But the first question, Ellie, will be, I was watching the declarations, and there was a choice to be made. Do you go for races 1 or race 2? And guys opted to go for race 1.
Yeah, I think it had a lot to do with the draw and also the sex allowance, because the fillies seem to be running a little bit better with the 3 kilos off their back. So that was the line of thinking, Dees. There also could have been a few others. But number 10, Shampimpi, was not a surprise on debut. She's a good quality filly. She'll enjoy the step up in distance. And obviously the performance of Red Hot Rose in the fillies nursery on Saturday on World Sports Betting Champions Day does give a lot more confidence, but I think she may just have to settle just in behind number 6, Give Me Another Chance here. He too ran a cracker in the Protea just 40 days earlier. Obviously, Keegan de Miller is retained by Kaya Stable, so he has to take the ride. Lucky Lad was a very, very impressive winner of the South African nursery for Sean Terry. He's still undefeated, and I think if when you're not necessarily comparing apples with apples, because the race could be run differently. But Give Me Another Chance is 5 lengths inferior to Lucky Lad and a quarter of a length behind Pure Predator, who also ran very nicely in defeat. And Give Me Another Chance, by default, you would expect to have gone close in the nursery just on those 2 form lines. So I think number 6, Give Me Another Chance, to step up in distance will suit. And I think he may just have the edge over number 10, Shampimpi. Shampimpi will go close. I can't put anyone off. She should go nicely. Number 10, Shampimpi. And then number 2, Captain Warra. I'm very interested to see how he goes over 1450. The debut was good behind Ready to Charge, but I watched that rerun again, and he ran for about 900 meters and then completely ran out of puff. Whether it was Ready to Charge finding a gear that Captain Warra didn't have, or Captain Warra not really going the final 150 meters, I'm not sure. We'll learn a lot more, but I'm surprised to see him going 1450 second up. So 6 from 10 for me.
Yeah, it looks like a hot field. It really looks like a hot field. And Captain Warra, that horse Ready to Charge was strongly fancied by the Aussies first time out. There's lots of form to work around with here. But I like this filly called Shampimpi. I think just having a look at the siblings, etc., from Ancestral Prayer to horses like Definitely Maybe, even Spero Optima, looked out the pedigree, Alistair, anything from 1,400 to 2,000 meters. Like the look of this filly at 7-1. I think that's generous odds. But 6, 10, and 2 in the first leg for Alistair. We'll see how they go here in race number 1. Looks like a very, very exciting race to follow, kicking off our meeting at Turffontein, where we're on the inside track. Race number 2 is over 1,450 meters, and this is for the fillies. This is how they're betting, Alistair. Horses in single figures. Number 7, Sugary Sweet, is at 18-10. And then number 11, Woodland Glade, is at 15-10. Of course, Woodland Glade, you just look up the pedigree, you'll see Waterbury Lane, and of course, Shantastic, who runs over the weekend. Beautifully bred filly. What you made of this horse's improvement last time out, Sugary Sweet? You know, I thought that was a very good run. And having watched that replay, and of course, we touched on that form line of Shampimpi in race number 1. Looks like this horse is going to appreciate the extra distance, this 2-year-old daughter of Erupt.
So, Sugary Sweet ran right next to Shampimpi on that occasion. And I went to Gavin Larena sort of thinking, well, Red Hot Rose is good, but is Sugary Sweet all right? I mean, how do I read the form just from Shampimpi's side? And I went to Gavin, I said, were you surprised by that run? He said, a little bit, but she's actually a good filly and she'll appreciate the step up in distance, as you said. She stayed on nasty behind Red Hot Rose, and I think if Shampimpi runs a big race in the first race, then Sugary Sweet's price is going to look all the more juicy, and she'll probably come in for even further support. I've made this a 2-horse race with obviously disclaimers about the first time at number 11, Woodland Glade, but she won't need to be all that special to win. So I don't know anything, but she could very well be the right one in this race. But the place accumulator is my suggested bet. And of the race runners, 2 and 7 jump off the page. The reason why I've gone bank in number 7, Sugary Sweet, is because of the draw of number 2, Be Real. Be Real absolutely took off last time out, had no right, didn't look like running fourth until the final few strides when suddenly she absolutely took off. So number 2, Be Real, from the draw is likely to drop in. But I hope that the inside track doesn't catch her out, the tight turn, and she's just going a little bit too late. So in the corner of number 7, Sugary Sweet, respect for 2. But number 11, Woodland Glade, is obviously the big kicker in this race.
Yep, looks like it. We'll see how that filly goes first time out, Woodland Glade. But I agree with Alistair. Shampimpi wins the first, and they could be all to come on number 7. Sugary Sweet in the second, but Woodland Glade is of course the unknown in the race, beautifully bred daughter of Flower Alley. On to the big one, the start of the Pick 6 now, which is race number 3, 1450 meters, a maiden juvenile plate. And this race, this is the way they are betting. Of course, the betting proudly brought to you by Hollywoodbets. Number 2, Just Far, at 33 to 10. 4 is at 7 to 2. Then we go on to Candace Dawson's runner, and I'm going to read out the pedigree because a very interesting pedigree this filly has. My Soulmate, trading at 6 to 1. Number 12, Rugger Lover at 11 to 2, and 13, Winter Pearl. There's been some anti-post betting support on Hollywoodbets from 7 to 1 into 5 to 1. Very interesting first time of year for Candace. Half sister to Salvatore Mundi, and we know how well he stays. Bunker Hunt comes from that family as well, and I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, the Aussie strain B in my bonnet. So it's a nice pedigree and a good horse that you guys are stepping up, or should I say Candace is stepping up, and you've engaged the services of Gavin Larena.
Dee's, her work is outstanding. Gavin's worked her. It wouldn't be Candace's style to tune up a first-timer. It's not Candace's style, so she's not tuned up first time out. If she wins, it's on pure ability, and she's got a lot of ability on what she shows her work. Now she's got to bring it to the racetrack. So, yes, she's nice. She's smart. She should be smart. If she brings her work, she's a huge runner. I think the feeling from Candace is that if she's not in the first 3 at least, that would be a bitter disappointment. She can most definitely win. From a Pick 6 perspective, we're lucky in that the fact that with My Soulmate, Rugger Lover, White Pearl, and also number 8, the front line, they all first-timers that have very attractive breeding to them. Although the front line's drawn in the stick, so is White Pearl. Rugger Lover certainly has quite a lot going for her, although making a debut of a 1450 from that type of pedigree is a little bit of a head-scratcher, but David Nievenhuizen's obviously starting her off here because he's seen something that the pedigree page probably doesn't show. So from a Pick 6 perspective, take advantage of that. I think the first race runner home will be number 4, Mocha Frappe. So my PA, I've gone 4 and 11. Mocha Frappe, spoke to Alec Laird for his debut, which came on Her Serene Highness Princess Charlene Empress Club Stakes race day. And he said, yeah, nice horse, wait for him to go a little bit further. And he ran as if he needed further. He ran as if he needed the run, and he finished just under 4 lengths behind Pure Predator. He did catch my eye to an extent on that occasion, number 4, Mocha Frappe. I'm sure he'll be ridden for luck again by Caden Brewer after staying on strongly. So of the race runners, he definitely sets the standard. I think number 7, Prince of Green, also doesn't have its legs tied up, having run 7.5 lengths behind Lucky Lad. He too will appreciate the extra trip. but I think number 4, Mocha Frappe, is the right one. I think number 2, Just Far, is a very short price for me. I think that Zanovi form line might ultimately work out to be a little bit on the shallow side, even though he looked encouraging over the closing stages. I prefer others.
Yeah, I think just keep a close eye on that run of, I think it's a horse called Dreamland. Yeah, race number 1 coming from the Zanovi form line. If that runs well in race 1, then you could possibly go with a bit more confidence with number 2, Just Far, yeah, in the 3rd race. But it looks like a race where you are going to minimize your spend with the first-timer rule, but Alistair leading towards number 4, Mocha Frappe. For the pick 6, if I had to pick your brain and ask you for 3 runners?
I'd have to go with 4, 6, and 9 actually, and then hopefully my soulmate can do the job, and then we can hopefully get all the stars to align in the first leg with the first timer rule.
Okay, on to race number 4, Maiden Plate, 1,200 meters. This is how they're betting. Number 1, Raptor Island, 3-1. 2, Saka Gold at 4-1. Then you have to go all the way down the page to number 9, Efficient Trader at 8-1. 10, King of the Seas. This is at 16-10. And 11, What's Up at 5-1. Yeah, this race, I think, looks tailor-made for possibly a first-timer to come through and win, Alistair. I don't know if you've heard anything about this horse, but obviously bookmakers taking no chances against a field where there's very little to recommend in black and white, that a first-timer and a 2-year-old could win this, and they're looking at number 10.
Yeah, and Johan Janssen van Vuren's comments on the front of the computer form are decent type, but has been green at home. I don't have any further information. As you know, I usually do get info from a few yards, including Johan Janssen van Vuren. I don't know anything about number 10, King of the Seas, but that's because I haven't asked. It's not a strong race, Dees. It's not going to take much winning. Number 1, Raptor Island, I expected to have won by now. I think we know what the tactics are going to be for Raptor Island. He is a known front runner, and on a fast-running inside track, I'm sure he'll go to the front and be the target at the top of the straight. He could well get away with it this time around in a race this shallow. 2, Saka Gold, I suppose, is pretty much cut from the same cloth. I am also surprised that he is still a maiden. I thought his last run was in an equally poor race, and he didn't find too much, finishing 2.5 lengths behind just right. So if he couldn't win there, I failed to see him stepping up an extra 2.5 lengths to win here, but I still think that he'll be in the mix. I think he'll earn 3rd run after a rest. In fact, there was good money for Saka Gold last time, and then he drifted like a barge just at race time. That was quite a surprise to me. So I don't know whether he went down poorly, but I see he had excuses on that occasion, number 2, Saka Gold. But the early money last time does ring in the back of my mind. And then the comments and the opening price about number 10, King of the Seas, is a little bit too good to ignore. So I think the winner comes from one of those 3.
Yeah, I think that is the way to play. Of course, the jackpot, there's no rule at first-timers, so you're going to have to consider including them. And the obvious horse here is number 10, King of the Seas. But we'll wait come race time. Of course, Alistair reading the comment from the form guide that we're both using for this race meeting, which is the computer form. And hopefully the guys on course could pass on some information, and maybe it could be positive talk for number 10, King of the Seas. Now on to race number 5. It's over 1,200 meters. Yeah, this is an interesting race because number 1, Pour Some Sugar on Me, is at 2-1. And then 2, Someday Maybe, is at 22-10. Then we go on to number 3, Chili Marmalade, at 6-1. 4, Crimson Path at 8-1. And Inevitable, which is horse number 8, coming off a very long break, last seen in March 2022, that's at 5-1. I say it's an interesting race because between numbers 1 and 2, they basically can't split them, but they got the one at 2-1 and the other 22-10. I expected it, if anything, to be the other way around, Alistair.
Well, Pour Some Sugar on Me has just been very, very costly to follow. The blinkers go back on. She obviously raced without blinkers last time when going back to 1160, and she just never looked dangerous at all. She didn't have that early speed. So maybe at a gate 1 in the Keegan de Mello, she can get out and get into a soft lead, and that's probably her best chance of winning. But a very, very weary man when it comes to number 1, Pour Some Sugar on Me. Number 2, Someday Maybe, was a winner half a stride before the post and half a stride past the post last time when Fort Lauderdale got her number. So I think number 2, Someday Maybe, has stepped up with each and every start. She could actually be the one they all need to beat. And look, to go from a work riders race into a race like this, it is inevitably going to be described as a jockey strike. But Gavin Lorena taking over from Siyabonga and Tembo, and Siyabonga is a very, very good young work rider. He was in the academy. He knows what he's doing. But that has got to be worth a bit of substance. Number 2, Someday Maybe's jockey strike, and she was a bit stiff not to win last time. In the PA of back number 2, up with number 8, Inevitable, the long break is obviously a worry, but it may have been a signal of intent from Baron Burtis, first time out to have started her in a feature race. Yes, she was undone by quite comfortably by River Quarares. There were more horses in front of her than behind her. But if anybody on the half-felt can get a horse 408 days apart, there are not too many. Joey Soma's one guy that comes to mind, but Baron Burtis is not too far behind and getting a horse after a long layoff to be in peak condition. So I think number 8, Inevitable, could be set up for a nice run, obviously if she doesn't need it too badly. But I think that her second to Time for Glory is divisions better than any other second in this race.
This updated form line that I'll reel out for the guys for Chili Marmalade and, of course, United Ransom, they finished 3rd and 5th, respectively, behind Ghost Ship. Of course, 2 lengths was Chili Marmalade and 3 lengths was Ghost Ship. If these horses take their place, both these fillies, can we consider them on an improved last start behind Ghost Ship, or are you willing to, pass them by?
I think United's Ransom will turn the form around, funny enough, with number 3, Chili Marmalade, but I'm not mad about any of them. United's Ransom's claim to fame is actually the half-sister to Captain's Ransom, and she's obviously the forgotten sibling of the family. That Ghost Ship race was a very, very weak race. Not that anything here is going to Hollywood, but I just think that it's going to be tough. Although Tony Peter got to Zona 3 days apart and travelling up the N3 for a few hours to win, I don't know if that form is good enough to suddenly produce a winner on the back of it.
On to the 6th race, 2,000 meters, merit-rated 96 handicap. Number 1, Flashy Apache, 11-2. Number 2, Willow's Wish at 3-1. 9-2, number 3, Twin Turbo. Otterlucan, number 5, is at 4-1. There is money for number 6, Home of the Brave. Opened up 7-2 on Hollywoodbets. That has shortened into 3-1. And then number 7, Climate Control, is at 9-2. Just for the guys out there, this horse, Willow's Wish, took some time for that 4th career win, but the 5th one was just around the corner. And how is that form line working out? If you watch racing on Tuesday, you would have seen Meredith come out to win again, and you can add Vanderbilt to that form line. Yeah, this horse is just growing in confidence now that he's taken a bit of time, but the way he's winning, it wouldn't surprise me to see him make it 3 on the bounce. Number 2, Willow's Wish.
And he's a tough horse as well, Dees. I almost stereotyped him as just a KZN horse, because I think before he went back-to-back, 2 of his 3 wins were in KZN. And then he'd go back to Joburg against some weak, ordinary company and just run a nice race and defeat. But now all of a sudden, since his light break, so put it like this, I think in 2023, he suddenly figured out what to do. So he's turning into a good value for money horse. Maybe the handicap has got him. He's very much on my wish list in this race. It's a small field, but I'm of the opinion that Tyrone Zaki is probably the more reliable angle to take in this race. I'm not for one moment writing off Willow's Wish. The PA, as mentioned, is my suggested bet, but Willow's Wish is most definitely in my pick 6. He'd be my 3rd choice here with a lot of time for his chances. But 5 and 6 are the 2 horses that I really want to focus on. On the run on the 18th of April between Willow's Wish and Otto Lucan, Otto Lucan's got a half a kilo pull at the weight for 1 3/4 lengths, and he was coming off a 3-month layoff. I think number 5, Otto Lucan, will probably turn that form around. And also, he beat Celestial City, and Celestial City was at his most impressive at the Vaal on Tuesday. So Otto Lucan has got something going for him. But then my top choice here is Pilasande and Oli's rider, number 6, Home of the Brave. And again, it's a soft first selection between the 3. But Home of the Brave's last run to Running Rifles is something that you've got to watch time and time again. From the worst draw, he took his medicine, he dropped out, and he was just left to do some low flying at the end, and he really caught my eye. Now he's got a draw. He's back on the course. He's now got home ground advantage, being trained at Turffontein, so he doesn't have to travel. I think that's worth a little bit of clout. Home ground advantage, certainly for guys that are based at the Vaal, maybe to a lesser extent to Turffontein. But with that said, with a light weight and getting 8 kilos from number 2 Willow's Wish, and also 9 kilos from a stable companion, he should absolutely hammer a stable companion on that last run, number 1 Flashy Apache. So number 6 Home of the Brave has a lot going for him. He's low mileage, he's improving. I think that he's the right one in race number 6, but I definitely got time for 2 and 5 here.
Yeah, I also had a good look at number 6, Home of the Brave, and I just had a slight concern. I'm just hoping that, he's not a horse that seems to be a bit slow when the starter says go, because if he's drawn 2 and that has to happen to him, and all these horses, vying for position, he could find himself towards the back of the field on the inside track. But if he takes full advantage of draw number 2, I'm in full agreement with Alistair. The way he finished last time out, and if he's much closer within striking distance this time round, the distance will be no issue. He may be the right horse in the race, so I'll just keep an eye on the way he jumps. Race number 6, horse number 6. So Alistair going 5 and 6 there. Ali, am I correct? 5 and 6 will be your top 2?
5 and 6, my top 2, with number 2 Willow's Wish just behind them. In the small field, I don't want to break the budget, going with 3 horses in the 7-horse race.
Yeah, I think you could even travel up there in race number 6 with that place accumulator. On to the 7th, over 2,000 meters. Yeah, I need some help, Alistair, because I couldn't make heads or tails of this field, and I had a good look at it. It's over 2,000 meters. Fillies and Mares 73 handicap. This is the way they're betting. Of course, Midnight Crystal is in a superb form. She's now going for 3 on the bounce. She's priced up at 28 to 10. She'll be drawn 1 with Donald Gerson claiming. 15 to 10, number 3 Pashasha. And of course, there's not much that separates numbers 2 and 3. And one could say there's a big discrepancy in the odds, 28 to 10 and 15 to 10. And then we go on to 8 Gilded Grey at 7 to 1, 9 English Primrose at 7 to 1, and 10 Winning Queen at 11 to 2. If you're not in the camp of numbers 2 and 3, that is where I was just on the fence on how I'm going to play the exotics here, because if you don't like 2 and 3, what do you do?
Well, Dees, I must be honest, I'm not really in the camp of 2 or 3, but if I'm not in the camp of 2 or 3, whose camp do I go into?
Sure.
I had a long look at this race. I nearly went with number 8, Gilded Grey, but then I do worry about Gilded Grey over this trip. I don't think she stays 2,000 meters. She's been the distance 3 times, and she's not earned a brass bean over 2,000 meters. Then I had a look at number 10, Winning Queen. She's 3 pounds under sufferance here, and on her last run to Midnight Crystal, even though she's got the weight to in her favour, Pashasha has got her absolutely cold on that run to Midnight Crystal. So I've defaulted to number 3 Pashasha as my top choice, and then number 2 Midnight Crystal, who's just a horse in form. I don't think there's too many angles that we can look at this, because I think if we do start to overcomplicate this, we're going to get a headache. The 2 Midnight Crystal, again, I have a question mark against her over 2,000 meters. The only time she went the trip, she faded tamely, but that just seemed to be a trademark of her until Sean Terry just found the winning formula with number 2 Midnight Crystal. And out of gate 1, not a hell of a lot can go wrong. If you go back to her penultimate start, I actually watched that race with Sean. And he fancied her to run a big race on that occasion. And Donald Gerson rode an enterprising race on Midnight Crystal, because he didn't even try and overcome the draw. He raced wide on the back straight, eventually committed into a handy spot, and then she kept Memorial Day at bay. Now, Memorial Day is no star, but then last time dropping back to the Vaal straight over 1,500 meters, again, she was positively ridden. And she just seems to grind out results these days. So I just can't see a lot going wrong for number 2 Midnight Crystal. Certainly at this level, she's kept in tame company, so that could be the secret with her. And the 2.5 kilo claim and Donald Gerson's rapport with her is definitely in her favour. And then number 3 Pashasha, like mentioned, at the weights, does have the number of number 2 Midnight Crystal. So I'd probably go with number 3 Pashasha as my top choice, to be honest, in race number 7. But I don't want to look too much deeper into this race, because there's very little that you can say for any of these.
Well, I'm just gonna look. We'll go one step more. This horse, Ballroom Bliss, We know that no other has achieved the rating that she has. At her best, that was, which was 100. And she only continues to slide one way. These things we understand. Whilst they're coming down in rating, the handicap is giving them a better chance to try and be more competitive. But she's badly off form. She is rating off a 73. What I find very interesting is that if you look at jockey and horse, Gavin has actually partnered this mare 3 times, and he's only ridden twice for Baron Boertes and Yolanda Vosloo. So I think it could be a smart move that they possibly could have seen that Gavin knows this horse from back in the day. Let's try him on. Let's see what happens.
Here's a little secret. I mean, I can't have Ballroom Bliss because he's not showing any signs of turning it around despite the rating dropping. But a little secret, Joseph Muller, the nominee of the Derm Ion Closed Corporation trading as DMK, Joseph Muller and Gavin Larena are very, very good mates. I don't know whether he's asked Baron to put Gavin on to say, well, do we make a call? I don't know what the story is. I can't see number 1, Ballroom Bliss, suddenly turning around the dismal form that she's been showing. But maybe Gavin can weave some magic for a good mate.
Yeah, that is my roughie in the race, I think, for the pick 6 and the jackpots. If you're looking for one, it's about trying to catch the right wave at the right time. And it could be with number 1, Ballroom Bliss, but she gives you no confidence in black and white. We're just hoping. We got the blindfold on and hoping to hit the bullseye. Race number 8 over 1,500 meters. It's a merit-rated 75 handicap. This is how they're betting. Hollywoodbets 7-2, number 1. Then we go on to number 3, Sharapova, Open Company, taking on the boys 22-10. Then 9-2, number 8. And any other horses in single figures? No. Well, the fixed odds betting market has got these 2 horses, let's call them 3 horses in single figures. And then you can pretty much name your price with the balance. There is a form update here for horse number 4, finished 8th, beaten 9 lengths by Vesuvius. Can she win? Can she make her presence felt and possibly get the job done here against the boys, number 3, Sharapova?
Yes, she can, Dees. But my each-way player is number 9, Windsock. Then it was takes the ride for Erica Verdenese. This is her peak run. She's had absolutely no form withdrawals in her last 3 starts, and she's not been running dismally. She had valid excuses last time out when stumbling at the start from the worst draw at the Turffontein inside track. You just can't make up that type of ground, so she raced in the second half of the field, and she seemed to stay on. I think number 9, Windsock, is in the right place to run a big race here. I think that he's most definitely the value in the race. He obviously receives weight from these 2 horses who do set a pretty clear standard, and 2 horses who I can most definitely have. But I'll be going exactas and swingers with number 9, Windsock, everywhere. The top choice, well, of those 2 that you've mentioned towards the top of the boards, I'd probably go with number 1, Call Me Master, to be honest. Even though his draw is a bit of a worry, he does come from off the pace. He's got Keegan DeMello on for the first time. He's been keeping reasonable company. I thought his last start he was a trifle unlucky as well behind Romeo's Magic. He actually moved up quite dangerously, but I'm not sure that he saw out the final 120 meters or so. So coming back in distance, he could be quite dangerous, number 1, Call Me Master. I think he needs a wake-up call coming out of the stall, so if he's a length or 2 closer, then he could be a big force to be reckoned with. It's not going to be easy from a deep draw here, but who better than Keegan DeMello to work things out? And number 3, Sharapova. Funny enough, her maiden win is even though beating Gimme a Diamond, her maiden win for me is the best run that she's produced, because Gimme a Diamond came out and won subsequently and represents a pretty strong form line. And even though Sharapova's form in Cape Town and also her post-maiden run were pleasing performances, I thought the way that she knuckled down to beat Gimme a Diamond on that occasion was seriously encouraging, and they were miles clear of the 3rd place horse. The drop to 100 meters, the drop by 100 meters was no worry for me for number 3, Sharapova, but I'm a little bit skeptical about, these horses that are dropping a division, taking on a horse that's going up for being a loser last time, getting £2. So that's why, even though 1, 3, and 9 are in my place accumulator, I would save Sharapova perhaps from a win perspective for a rainy day next time out. So number 9, Windsock, undoubtedly the horse that I'm going to revolve my bets around in the last.
Just a form update. I've missed that out. Number 2, JP 2000, finished 4th on Tuesday, beaten 1.5 lengths. And Alistair mentioned earlier on in this preview how impressive Celestial City was on Tuesday, from last to first in a matter of strides. That was arguably his most impressive win to date. A very well-bred Celestial City winning on. So JP 2000 takes his place. We'll see. Maybe on that last start from pole position could be one to follow. Just one more. This horse, number 12, Funky Music. I know it was in Gauteng, then came to KZN, and now back Gauteng. 53 kgs. A horse that's pretty much in the action every time he runs.
Yeah, D's no more from me for Funky Music. I've been on his side so many times. Maybe the relocation to Joburg can bring something about the son of Cape Town Noir. But I've always been a fan. On his day, he can be dangerous. I'm of the opinion that he might just need the run. His record fresh is not the most encouraging around. And look, if he runs a nice race, then I'll be a fan of his again for next time.
Okay, that's it, Alistair. We've previewed all the races. Your suggested bet for the show?
Yeah, Place Accumulator, which, by the way, I'm 3 from 4 in the last few weeks. It was a very rough few months, I'm not going to lie. It was pretty bleak with all these exotics that I've been tipping on the Gallop TV show. But the last 4 meetings, 3 of the exotics I've tipped have come alive. Obviously, we were helped by the lightning and thunder on Tuesday, but the point is, the form is okay. So maybe with worse racing, Alistair Cohen sees things a little bit better. Who knows? So the PA starts at 2:10 in race number 2. So banker number 7, Sugary Sweet in the first leg by 4 and 11, Mocha Frappe. And My Soulmate by 1, 2, and 10. So Raptor Island, Saka Gold, and King of the Seas in race 4, which is the third leg. Then I've gone 2 and 8 in race 5, Someday Maybe, and Inevitable. I've gone with Tara and Zaki's pair in the 5th leg, race number 6, 5 and 6, Otto Lucan and Home of the Brave. By 2 and 3, Midnight Crystal and Pashasha. And then the final leg, 1, 3, and 9. Call Me Master Sharapova. And my each way play of the day, and the horse that I'm going to revolve all my bets around, Windsock.
Don't remind me about Tuesday. I had the absolute lot to come in the last race on Queen Bomi. As you know, we discussed it, and I went for it, and all the fancied horses were winning, and it was all going to be on to the last race, wins and places on that horse. But unfortunately, the race meeting didn't, get through. But nevertheless, it was a good day for the guys, because just judging by the results on Tuesday, fancied horses that had Form 1, which all goes well for punters.
Yeah, there were no traps in that card. D's, you know what? You'll never know whether the lightning and thunder did you a favor or not. But you know what it's all about. I mean, you come back to fight another day. I know that it's cliche in this game, but that is literally how we see it. And hopefully the form can continue for a very, very long time, D's. When things like that are happening, I always believe that the big win is just around the corner.
Yeah, and hopefully it is on Thursday. Thanks to Alistair Cohen, who's down in Cape Town, and all the best, Ali.
Shot, D's, thank you so much for your time, and to all the viewers, have a wonderful day.
Thanks to Alistair Cohen on behalf of Gallop TV and the entire team. Hope you have a wonderful day punting on the Turffontein Inside Track on 4th of May, this Thursday. Make a huge profit, find all the winners, have a blast, and from myself, D's down, and you take care. Until we meet again, Salani Gashle.